Hi, JC. How are you?
Hey, GC.
Sorry, I was muted. Um, I've been answering questions, so I have no idea what's going on. I've been trying to answer all the questions coming
It's okay. We're
into
going to talk
the.
about how to set up a vault device next so that pictures are protected. So,
Absolutely.
and this is one of the best things. I just want to put out there that I have 5 vaults, and I'm healthily safe. But what I'll point out is a vault is any device that you've set up to get all your originals. And a lot of folks haven't realized how much hard drives have improved lately. So the other day, I went onto Amazon, and we do a lot of work with Seagate hard drives. People, when they buy Seagate hard drives, sometimes get access to our Mylio Create plan with certain hard drives. And I picked up a 15 terabyte hard drive for $300. And obviously you can get one less expensive than that in smaller capacity, depending on what you need. But hard drive capacities are through the roof. So I have devices. I have one hooked up to, this computer. I've got one in the office. And so if something terrible were to happen to my home, all these pictures are also backed up to my office. And, I can unplug a vault, and it doesn't even need Mylio to come back to life, because on it is just a folder with everything perfectly organized. So it doesn't matter where it came from. The vault becomes a backup copy of everything. So with that in mind, JC, why don't you take 10 minutes and run folks through some of the best practices with vaults. And JC is head of our customer success department. So he's with the team that, when you have questions or you run into a snag, it's he and his team that are helping you through that.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen here on a computer that's specifically set up with no library in it.
Okay.
I just gotta.
While he's getting that open as well, I'll tackle
there.
one of the other questions that came in, which is how do you tag a face for the first time? So Mylio Photos will scan your pictures and do face detection. So it will actually find pictures when you go in. So as JC gets that folder open, if I go to my people view, you'll see I have a untagged one. And so what that's done is it's found faces. And so you could then go in, and it thinks some things are faces, some things aren't. But if it finds a picture that it thinks is a face, then you could tag it. And so it's able to locate those, and it will find the faces. So for example, this is Lisa Loeb, a musician, and I've actually previously tagged her before. So I could just select it from the pop-up list. But if I didn't, I would just type in the name and it would add that. And these cool little shortcuts here, these autocomplete shortcuts, you could turn those on under the settings. So if you don't want to, you can use these cool speed shortcuts. You just go under settings there. And I think it's under general, but let me double check. And you have this. Nope, it's not general. Where do we put that one setting, JC? Is that appearance?
What was the setting?
The one to pick the numbers when you're doing face tags.
Is under advanced.
Advanced, of course. Okay. So this is where you can actually see it, and you could actually have it use the numbers as you're typing. And so this will let you control what's coming in, the number of faces, and how you tag. And so that just makes it simple. But if there's a picture that it didn't scan a face, or you want to force it on a face, what you could actually do is, let me go to something here. So notice it didn't properly detect my friend Bill here because of the face mask, and it was a little blurry. I can press and hold or click and hold, and that will force it to let me tag the person. So if it doesn't properly recognize a face because it's very hidden or small and in the background, you could click and hold or press and hold to manually tag a face. And then you just click in the field and where it says, who is this? And I could type in his name and press return. And if he doesn't exist in my library, Mylio will ask me to confirm it. And now he's in my people list, and I can use him on other pictures like that as we go through, as we press and hold. All right, I'm going to pass back to JC now. And you all set, JC?
Yes. All right, so we have Mylio here. And what I have is a completely empty library. This is a new account with no media in it. Notice that I can add the sample library if I so choose. I can also add other media. But what I want to do is I want to show you two ways of adding external drive as a vault to your Mylio account, designated as a vault to your Mylio account. The first way I'm going to do this is by adding a drive that already has some photos in it. I'm going to go here to my dashboard. I'm going to go to devices and notice that at the top of the devices panel, there's a button called add. When I click on that button, I get the options for all the different kinds of devices that can be added to my existing Mylio account. In this case, I want to work with external drives. So I'm going to choose this external drive that has some photos in it already. And if I go to my Explorer view here, you'll notice that I have two drives. One is a Seagate drive that has a folder called My Photos. Let's delete this folder. That's from a previous demo. And I'm going to add those photos to Mylio. The other Seagate drive is an empty drive. There's nothing in it. It's just factory fresh. So that first Seagate drive is the one that has my photos on it, is the F drive. So that's the one I'm going to select first. I'm going to click Next. And I'm going to finish setup. And the first thing that Mylio does is just tells me, okay, this device, Seagate, is now part of my Mylio library. Now, I don't want two drives named Seagate, so I'm going to name this one Source. So
and this doesn't change it at the Finder level, correct?
Correct. That only changes it within Mylio. I could change it on both places.
Right.
It's really up to you.
So I noticed that Polina had her laptop called Princess Station. You know, you can, I have fun names for some of my devices too. You can give them nicknames. So, yeah. You know, my old iPhone versus my real iPhone, you know, things like that.
Same here. When I switch to my personal account, you'll see that a lot of my devices are named after fish because, you know, I like to go diving a lot. My Wi-Fi network is called Ocean. So all my devices are in the ocean. It's my own personal joke. My kids don't think it's that funny. So now I have this device.
So dude, that was a total dad joke, just so we're clear.
Yeah. My drive that has photos in it is now added as a source in Mylio. Mylio sees it and notice that it's already designated as a vault by default. And I can confirm this by going into the device quality and seeing that that drive is a vault. Now that drive has photos in it that I want to include. So I'm going to click the import button or the add media button here. And I'm going to ask if Mylio Photos to let me add media accessible from this device, from the computer that I'm in. I'm going to select that drive. I'm going to click the folder called My Photos. And all I have to do now is I don't want to copy these photos because I don't want to duplicate them. And I don't want to move the photos because they're already in the external drive for which that I wish for them to reside in. I'm simply going to link them. And when I click link, Mylio shows me, confirms what it is. It went ahead and scanned for the content. It tells me there's 1,500 files in there, 53 folders. And all I have to do is go ahead and click the link now.
Yeah, and the linking is important because when you link, you're just pointing it at an existing folder. So on my home computer here, I've got a giant 70 terabyte rated hard drive that has all my photos and video on it. And I'm not using all the space, but there's room to grow. But I don't want to copy that or move it. So you could just use the link button and it just points it. And that's great. So if you're using any other photo tools that also point to that media, like maybe a Lightroom catalog, you don't have to move anything. You know, Mylio just goes, where is it? There it is. Cool. And I see it now here under linked folders. So we've made it much easier to work with linked folders with this update. They're fully supported. They're just right there in the import menu, the add menu.
And personally, just to tell you a little bit of my photo journal, my photo journey story is a lot of my photos when I came to Mylio were already organized. They were already in the folders that I wanted them. I didn't want to redo all that organization. I didn't want to make more work. Mylio was the only application at the time that I found that would respect my existing folder structure and that would bring that entire folder structure in the way that I wanted it without changing things. Those photos have now finished importing. I don't know if you noticed that a little notification came up and said that the media was already added. So I can now go to my folder view and I can see all 53 folders that were added from my photos, and the folder structure that I had already was respected. So those photos have come in and everything is as I wanted it to be. Now I can go back to the dashboard and create another layer of protection, add another device and designate it as a vault. And Mylio will take care of keeping that pristine copy of all my folders and all my files into this new empty drive. So let's do that next. I'm gonna go back to my devices panel here. I'm gonna once again click the add button. I'm gonna select external drive, but this time I only have the empty drive available to me. So that is the E drive. I'm just gonna select that. And Mylio tells me, okay, I'll do that. I will add it to Mylio. I will store all the files in your library in their original quality. Once I hit finish setup, that new drive shows up. Notice it's called Seagate. I'm going to call it New Vault. And Mylio has already started moving all the files that I had in my library to that new device. If I went at the Explorer level and looked at that drive, Seagate, the E drive, I have a Mylio folder. When I open that folder, my photos from that source drive are there. There's all my photos, and that folder structure that I already had has remained.
And this is important to point out that Mylio is preserving not just the folder structure when you import, but also when you back up. So
exactly.
I had a computer crash the other day. And I simulated a complete data crash. I was having, my thing was acting up. I wanted to just refresh the computer. So I just basically pretended I lost everything on the computer and reformatted and wiped it because it just needed a fresh start anyways. When I installed Mylio, it said, oh, let me go get your database. And as long as any one of my other devices was on, I just tested it. Like I just turned on my phone, it connected to my phone, pulled down the database. And then I had a vault plugged in, it saw the vault, it pulled down everything it needed, and the entire photo library was recreated on that new device. I just added an Android phone, a brand new phone I got at the start of this meeting, JC. I've got 450,000 photos, and in the last 40 minutes since we've been on, it's already got 363,000 of those synced here to Mylio, and it's been pulling them down, and it's just actively going and syncing to this device. And so it's that simple. And you're almost done. I mean, you were only pulling down 800.
I was only pulling a few photos down,
dude.
But it does it really, it does it really quickly. And this new drive, and by the way, the drives that I'm using are some of the Seagate's SSD drives. They're very small. So if your library is not that large, if you're not rich with his 14 terabytes of photos, but you have, even a couple of terabytes, you can buy an SSD drive or a spinning drive. I keep an entire drive that's designated as a vault in a fireproof safe. And I sync it once a week, sometimes more often, sometimes less often. But if there was a full capacity,
I do the exact same thing. My mom got me a fireproof safe for Christmas, and I'm initially looking at this thing going, what do I do with this? And then I had the epiphany, oh, I just unplug the vault and put it in there. And then once a month or so, I'll plug the vault in and have it update with anything new. And then I just put it right back into the fire safe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. And that has the added benefit of...
And we sound way hipper than people who go, and I put it in the safety deposit box. Nothing wrong with safety deposit boxes, but I hear safety deposit box and I'm like, I can't remember the last time I went into the bank and scheduled an appointment so I can access my safety deposit box. I still pay for one, but I'm like, but I have a fireproof safe. It's right there.
Well, what's great is that even if you had a really unforeseen event like malware or ransomware, which is becoming unfortunately more prevalent, having that offline copy really protects you from it. And those drives that are designated as a vault really become a seed of your entire library from which you can grow your Mylio garden once again. I know I do a lot of analogies. So Here I've switched computers. I'm now on my Mac computer, and this is my own personal library. And you'll notice I have a lot more devices on this system. But when you look at drives in cloud, you'll notice that I am a bit paranoid. I have a network attached storage device, which is a fully redundant device even of itself, right? That drive is protected within it. It has multiple drives. So even if a drive were to fail, other drives maintain a copy of my data so it can be rebuilt. So for a lot of people, that would be enough. But again, I'm paranoid. So I have 2 additional single drives that are also designated as vault. My travel vault is the one that I put on a fireproof safe when I'm not using it. But when I go on trips, I take it with me. And I keep a copy of all my photos with me. So if I'm on a dive trip and there's a bunch of other divers there, I can connect that drive to my laptop and show him full resolution photos of every dive trip that I've gone in and all the different photos that I've taken. And if I go around the room now and I start turning on some of my other devices, you'll notice that they'll become available in the dashboard here, and Mylio will start synchronizing with them. And what's really, really cool, and I geek out on it all the time with Mylio, is that you can go and manage your folder organization from any device. So if I go here to my folders view, I'm in my computer. And
yeah, we're not seeing Mylio right now. We're seeing your desktop.
Oh, well, that doesn't help you at all.
No. But I figured you were going to switch. So
let's fix that.
And what's cool here, guys, is you can see any folder from any destination. So if you've set a drive to have an inbox or a backup, you can go to that whenever you need to. So I could be in the field and import on my laptop when I'm staying at a hotel or I'm on vacation, and know that when I leave my laptop open, plugged in to the hotel's internet during the day, when we're out and about taking pictures and having lunch and sightseeing, all those pictures are backing up and going to my home drives as well. So Mylio can see your drives remotely. You don't just have to be on your home network. It creates a private connection to all your devices.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize I have 4 screens in front of me, all showing different things. I thought I was sharing the correct screen. Obviously, that was not the case. So here I have my MacBook Pro. That's what's being shared right now. If I go to my folders view here, I can go to one of the folders that I do for testing things. And within that folder, I can go ahead and create a new folder. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and split my screen, bring in a Finder window here. And I'm going to go to one of my vaults. So I'm going to go here to my primary vault. And you'll notice that the same folder structure that I see in Mylio is mimicked within the Mylio folder in my vault. And I can go to that same 1 of 5 test folder, and I see it right here on my computer, on my Finder. If I were to create a new folder here, that new folder automatically appears on my vault, on my drive. And if I went and selected a group of photos and I chose to move the photos to that folder, that new folder that I just created, those files are going to appear in the Finder right away. But I can do the exact same thing, not just from my Mac, but from my iPad. So here I have a screen with my iPad. And this is the iPad. I'm controlling it. You can see the iPad on my screen. You can see my Mac, and you can see the folder. I'm going to go to that exact same folder. There is the new folder with the photos that I just moved. They're already in my iPad. They're already synchronized.
Hey, JC, the pictures just changed. One of the coolest things that we rarely talk about. How are you doing that there? You're flipping through the stack of the picture. Just show them what you're doing since you got the device in your hand. This
is called Flutter. So on Mylio, I can go to any folder or any container. It doesn't have to be a folder. It can be an album. It can be a person's album in the people view. and I can just tap and scroll through it with my finger in a touch device. You can do the same with your mouse or with your touchpad on the computer. And you can kind of scroll and see the photos that are inside that folder. And you can even pin one of them to become your new cover photo if you so choose. So yeah, that's called Flutter. And I'm so used to it that I forget it exists. I rarely ever highlight it to people, but it is a really cool feature, yes.
And before we go forward, I want to show something here. So we were having people ask about pets, and some of us refer to them as fur babies. And people tagging is designed for human faces, but we can cheat. So if you want your pets to appear in your people album, JC, could you go in there and name this cat for us?
Absolutely. So I could just turn on my face tagging. So I'm just going to go into a single photo where this is Samantha Midnight, by the way.
See, she deserves a name just like everybody else.
She deserves a name. So notice that I'm turning on right there the face recognition tag. That allows
here's
me
a little thing, guys. We've made it easier now. When you turn on face tagging mode, it'll be highlighted in blue, so you know you're in face tagging mode. That's on desktop and laptops and mobile too.
Yeah. On my mobile device, all I'm doing is I'm going to tap and hold, and that allows me to now create a new tag for Sammy or
Oh, give her full name. It's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
Samantha, then tab blue, right?
Yeah, I just have to remember how to spell. Obviously, I can never spell when people are watching. I spell really, really well when nobody's watching, but if people are watching me type, I always get it wrong. Her full name is Samantha Midnight. We call her Sammy for short. When I hit return, Mylio says, okay, you want to create a new person. And it wants me to confirm the first and last name. That's all correct. I'm going to hit create. And now, if I go, let's look at it on the computer. If I go to my people view on my computer, and I scroll down to the letter S, by the way, if you're going through a large collection, like in my case, I have hundreds of people tagged, I can grab this flag that has the letter on the side, and I can scroll all the way down to the letter S pretty quickly. So there's very easy ways to navigate within Mylio. But notice Samantha Midnight has already been created. Even though I created that on my iPad, that has already been synchronized, and the new person album is available in my computer.
Awesome. So JC, we're almost out of time, but I want to cover the dedupe tool really quickly. We're going to come back to it again, but give us 2 minutes on the dedupe tool, maybe 3. I think you were going to dedupe your library live, but for the person who asked, how do I get my pets in there? You can manually tag things. Like, for example, I've tagged stormtroopers, and I've put them into my library, and a few things like that I just want to have, for me, it's just fun. I like to have pictures, but if something isn't recognized with normal tagging, remember, all this tagging is happening locally, so none of it goes to the cloud. And before you leave people view, JC, there, if you go into one of those albums and you want to change which picture is shown, so I see, for example, pick one of these albums, you can actually set which one is the cover, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's my wife, Sarah. She might want one of her younger photos, or perhaps a photo from our wedding, to be the representative photo on the album. I can go ahead.
To the one of her sticking out her tongue at you, yeah.
Yeah, I won't pick that one. I'll do this one over here because I don't want to get in trouble. I can simply right mouse click, or if you're using a mobile device, you can use the actions menu, which is on the bottom right corner. But from there, I can set the cover to anything. In this case, I want to set the cover for the people folder or the people container for this view. So now when I go back to Sarah, her cover photo is there, the new one I selected. All right, so let's very quickly, I'm gonna clean up my Apple photo and my Android photos library. And for those of you that are coming from a previous version of Mylio into Mylio Photos and version 22, if you already had a camera roll connected to your computer from an Apple device or from an Android device, you might have noticed that Mylio now creates this folders called all Android photos and all Apple photos. And it also created a new folder. All that Mylio Photos did is it rescanned and re-imported some of those photos. And we did it because we have greatly improved the way in which we connect with this third-party devices and their cloud component. Particularly in the case of Apple Photos, many people have many iOS devices that are using iCloud Photo Library. And in the past, if they connected their phone and their iPad and their Mac computer, and they were all sharing the same iCloud Photos library, the possibility of getting duplicates in your library was pretty high because some of those devices would download those photos directly into Mylio as separate instances. Now we have, through some of the APIs that Apple made available, made it possible to look at all the photos on every device, identify if it's the same photo, and only connect it once. But the first time we do that, this miscellaneous photos get created. Now there's a way to clean them up using the Dedup tool. So I'm going to show you that.
And I see what we've done is we've labeled it old Android photos, old Apple photos. This is a one-time thing, but periodically, if you, for example, if I plug my iPhone into the Windows computer, the Windows could see it like a memory card. And if I hit the import menu or I had some of those pictures on there, you could end up with duplicate copies, but this is a one-time thing. So to find Dedup, you'll find it under the Organize menu or under the dashboard.
There's Find Duplicates, so I'm going to select that. It gives me a number of instructions, and we're going to cover deduplication again, so I'll go through this menu later on. But for now, I want to filter, and instead of looking at my entire library, by the way, I thought that I had a very clean library. My library is highly curated, and I thought that I had removed every single duplicate. When Mylio deduplication came along, there were 400 photos that I didn't know I had duplicates for. So I found those. And then after adding the new version with all Apple photos and all Android photos, now I have even more. But I don't want to look at my entire library. I want to just start with just the all Android photos folder. So I'm going to click my filter here, and I'm going to select folder, and I'm going to add the folder that I want to look at and filter, specifically the all Android photos folder. So I'm going to select that folder from the folder picker. And now Mylio has added that as a filter and is asking me, okay, do you want to look at duplicates that might be within the result, meaning within this particular folder, or do you want to find duplicates that exist in this folder but might be elsewhere in your entire library? And what I recommend, particularly for this process, is that you choose entire library. So now I've gone from the 800 sets of duplicates to only 52. And Mylio is pointing out that there's 117 files. If I scroll through here, you'll notice that for some of these files, I have not only duplicates, I have triplicates. And in some cases, Mylio is identifying that different versions of the photo have conflicting data. This one has location information. The other two copies of the photo do not. So Mylio is pointing that out.
And sometimes this happens because I post a picture from, say, my phone to Facebook, and then I use our Facebook backup tool, and now I've got another copy of the picture, an exact copy of what I posted to Facebook.
Oh, it happens to me all the time with camera memory cards, right? I'll go on a dive, I'll come back, I'll take the memory card out of the camera, I'll load it into Mylio really quick. I don't reformat or erase that memory card, throw it back in the camera, go take some more photos, come back and re-import the entire memory card again because I wasn't paying attention. And now all of a sudden I have duplicates. Now Mylio will give you the option of excluding those duplicates right there during the import process. But if you forget,
sometimes we're rushing.
Yeah. If you like,
so go ahead and show them what you do here. We're going to click the auto check.
So we're going to click the auto check button. And what I'm going to do here, notice Mylio automatically added the Android Photos folder, the new Android Photos folder, as an option here. And it has the option to keep that folder. That means that the all Android's photos folder is being scanned. Mylio has found every photos that were in the old one. And when it comes to selecting photos to be removed or moved, I have the Android photos folder here. I'm gonna manually go through the process here because for some people it might show up differently. It might show up like that.
And JC, don't go too deep here. We have some guests that are waiting to come on next.
Yeah. So I'll click the new folder, the new Android photos folder. Select. I'm going to ask Mylio to keep the photos that are in that folder. I'm going to deselect everything else except for the very last option. I only want to keep one copy of these photos. So let me make sure I deselected everything. And I'm going to run auto check. So now Mylio went and found the old version of the photos. And when I click delete check, notice that it gives me the option to merge the metadata. So some of the photos that I'm deleting had metadata that the photos that I'm keeping don't have. I want all the metadata, any organization work that I've done to any of these photos to be maintained. So I'm gonna select that merge deleted image metadata, and then I'm gonna click delete files. Mylio immediately starts going through the process. Did it a little too fast. I think it's already done. So if I look at the notification here, it says finish deleting duplicates. It gives me a summary of what it did.
Yep. And there's a couple that you're going to need to manually clean up later, but that's easy. They're marked.
Exactly.
So. And that's just because it wants to validate and it wants you to review those files because there's some possible details. Correct. Well, JC, you're going to be back in a little bit. And when you come back, you're going to give us some strategies on organizing and finding photos. But I want to hand things off to Angela now, as well as one of our designers. If you could stop sharing your screen for 1 second.
I'm going to go back to answering questions. Talk to you guys later.
No problem. We'll see you soon. And thank you, JC.